Today we're talking about the next god to be released into Smite. As always, this is data mined material, so take this with a grain of salt. This can all still change in the process. However, this god is already coming out next patch, so most likely most of the info we'll have so far is pretty accurate. Based on that, the next god will be Cernunnos, the Celtic god of fertility, life, animals, wealth, and the underworld. He is typically depicted with antlers of some sorts or horns, and that's basically the only brand mark, so to speak, that translates into every version of him you see. Many of them will have beards or be rather greenish colored, and that's pretty much the main theme, and I assume that that will be translated in a similar way into Smite as well. Cernunnos has a new mechanic that is introduced into Smite and that has previously not been seen in this very form, which revolves around seasons. It is not clear how the seasons change exactly, if there's a way for you to change the seasons or if there's maybe something that is just timed throughout a match. It seems to work somewhat similar to Kronos 2, where you can choose different effects for the god. In his case, what is affected by the seasons are his basic attacks. So the winter effect for the basic attacks will grant his basic attacks a slow. It is not clear if this is on every attack or maybe every third attack or something like that, but the effect for the winter will be a slow. The effect for spring is another one. In spring, enemies will be silenced after Cernunnos received magical damage. In summer, the basic attacks get a bonus bleed on top of them. In fall, the basic attacks and maybe his abilities as well gain bonus penetration. So these kind of different effects seem to have different potential depending on how you want to play, but also different strength in regards to what you're building, and it would be most likely that you have some sort of impact on the seasons, because otherwise at certain points you may just be a lot less useful than you could be otherwise. His passive can trigger on melee attacks, so I would assume that it is somewhat combined with the seasonal effect. There's not more info about this. We have quite a lot of info on his wand though. It's gonna be a projectile ability. It also will explode when hitting a target. And Cernunnos' basic attacks hit in a short cone close to him, as well as his normal projectile. It gets increased damage by 10%, and it also somehow increases the lifesteal by 10%. I imagine this would be some sort of reverse Medusa 2, where you have the cone at the end of the line ability, whereas in this case you probably have the cone and then there is a single line shot that moves further and can somehow still explode. Or it's a lot more similar to Medusa's ability than it sounds like at first. His second ability is called Bramble Blast. That is literally all we know about it, nothing more than that. The third ability also has very limited information. It has a charge of some sort, but this could either be an ability that charges up or the ability itself having a charge, so that is not clear either. And his fourth ability is called the Wild Hunt. What apparently happens with the Wild Hunt is that Cernunnos' model may change or get new objects attached to it, which is most likely something that could be tied with his passive, with his 4 seasons. As you can tell, there's relatively limited information about Cernunnos compared to older data minings, older gods that have been leaked in the past. The information here is relatively restricted. However, we also have some other information, and that's already regarding the next god after. And this one is pretty much confirmed by Hi-Rez already. We know that the next patch will be 4.4, and this will be the release of Cernunnos, but Hi-Rez Ajax has already posted on Twitter which god we'll be seeing in patch 4.6. He hasn't officially stated the name of the god, but it's very, very obvious. The data minings indicate that the next god afterwards will be Ganesha. If you look at this teaser here, you will see that it is a purple god that has some sort of horn in his hand, and it's very much matching with all that you would expect from Ganesha's design. It is this wristband is something that could easily fit into the typical Hindu art style, and also it's mentioned that people have been wanting this god for a long time, and Ganesha has been requested countless times, especially because he's so different, so popular, but also very, very obvious as a god, being this elephant kind of person, and that really makes him stand out and be highly requested for a long time. So I would pretty much bet a lot of money on this actually being Ganesha. So while our information about Cernunnos is relatively limited, we already know stuff about the next god, which I think is really exciting, and I like Hyri's new way to go about these kind of things and give us a little more information, a little more of a taste of what's to come earlier than beforehand. With that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was informative for you guys. If you aren't subscribed yet, feel free to do so. Feel free to like this video if you enjoyed it. SLOTH, out.